Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here and welcome back to another video for the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And in today's video we are talking about the size of the map, and by extension the game world that we will inevitably be spending many hours in. The majority of the gameplay we've seen up until now from E3, bar a few random gameplay snippets from the Nintendo Treehouse livestream, were all taken from the same place, the plateau. And while the demo area was still pretty expansive, providing people with hours of fun and places to explore, and it even featured a couple of different biomes, 4 Sheikah shrines, a world boss and much more, in the grand scheme of things, this area was in actual fact pretty small. In fact, they said on one of the live streams that the area you were able to play during the E3 demo was only about 2% of the entire game world, which naturally led me and many other people to thinking, how big exactly is the entire game world? And that is what I'm going to aim to answer in this video, or at least as accurately as possible with the current information we have. So, if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. Now, to begin with, let's start with what we know, and then we'll do some basic calculations to try and apply that to the wider game world. As mentioned, the plateau only makes up about 2% of the overall game world, and it was also said that the world in Breath of the Wild is about 12 times the size of the Twilight Princess map. Furthermore, it was also possible during the demo to zoom out and take a look at the entire map, or at least what I assumed to be the entire map. Of course, everything was greyed out and whatnot, so you couldn't see any details. And of course, do bear in mind that the game is still in development, so this could change by the time the game launches next year. Plus, when you factor in what we know from previous Zelda games, if there were a shadow component to the world or something of that vein, then what we see may not be everything. But, ignoring that for just a moment, last week I actually had the chance to visit Nintendo's UK offices and go hands-on with the demo a bit more. Sadly I wasn't able to capture any more gameplay, but it did give me a chance to conduct some experiments. Starting at the most northern point of the plateau, I walked all the way to the southernmost point. Note that I walked this and I didn't use the sprint functionality, but at times I did of course have to climb the odd cliff to navigate the environment. This took me 3 minutes and 40 seconds in total. That's north to south. Now if you take a look at the map, you will see that behind the landmass there is a grid. When you zoom out, the grid squares become much larger, but they help to give us an idea of just how big the world is. When fully zoomed out, the plateau takes up a 2x2 grid space, 2 across, 2 down. However, the entire map fits into a much larger 22x18, that's 22 across and 18 down. So already you can see that the world map is pretty big. But if we apply the time we just got to the grid we now have, then it takes roughly 3 minutes and 40 seconds, or 220 seconds, to go 2 grid spaces. That would therefore mean that it would take 2,420 seconds, which is roughly 40 minutes, to go from the very top of the map to the very bottom. And using that same logic, it would then take 1,980 seconds, or 33 minutes, to go from the very east to the very west. Of course, do bear in mind, we have no idea what the rest of the world is like. I imagine it's full of cliffs to climb, rivers to cross, potentially impassable walls that you'll need to find a way around. So those times are of course based on a straight line as the crow flies. But regardless, that is still pretty big. And with that being said, as a comparison, if we take a look at the Twilight Princess map, admittedly it's a little bit more spread out, so it's not quite so clean or accurate, but I recorded the time it took me to walk from here to here, and then extrapolated that upwards, and it takes roughly 12 minutes to go from the south to the north, factoring in loading screens, etc. Also, as some additional information, if you were looking for, say, a comparison point with some other games, it takes just over an hour to cross the entire map in GTA 4, just over 2 hours to cross the entire map in GTA 5, and just under 2 hours to cross the entire Witcher 3 map. And while those maps are of course quite a lot bigger, 40 minutes to cross the world in Breath of the Wild, which is supposedly fully open, no loading screens or anything like that, is super impressive. So it's fair to say that the map for Breath of the Wild is going to be pretty huge, and as mentioned, that is of course assuming that the map that we saw in the E3 build is final and that there isn't some sort of additional Shadow Realm-like component that takes you off map or to a different map completely. Either way, that's it for the time being. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then a like would be super appreciated. Let me know your thoughts down below, and thank you very much for watching. Take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.